So Natalie, welcome to Altrincham. It's lovely to have you.
It's great to be here.
In the northwest, in Trafford and Salford, we've seen the dangers of fracking right in our communities, in Davy Hume and at Barton Moss. I mean, what's your answer to that?
Well, I think first of all, the Green Party says, first of all, no fracking, because we have to leave at least 2/3 of our known fossil fuel reserves in the ground if we're going to avoid catastrophic climate change. And now that means we shouldn't be going looking for more. We've got to work out how to leave what we know about already in the ground. But specifically in terms of fracking and other processes like coal bed methane, you're talking about technologies that come from America, very much a cowboy industry from places with very little in the way of regulation. And it's coming here. We know there'll be environmental impacts in terms of lots of lorry movements, lots of water use, and there's always the risk of spills. And also, one of the other really important issues around this is while we're thinking about this, while the government's pursuing its fracking fantasy, we're not focusing on the energy conservation, the renewable energy that we need to be focusing on.
As we have seen in places like Alberta and Wyoming, fracking carries massive potential for a serious environmental disaster. On top of this, whilst the government are doing all they can to assist their friends in the fracking industry, Trafford Council has been forced to make swathing cuts to our services, impacting youth, child services, parents and all members of this constituency.
You are fracturing the ground, you are drilling into the ground, in urban areas in many cases, you are drilling into the ground and putting hot water, carcinogenic chemicals in order to be able to then drain out really ridiculously small quantities of sand and oil. It takes an awful lot of energy to create or to obtain a very small amount. And what really drew it to me was what happened in Alberta, where the animals and the fish are just dying because there is no water that is drinkable. And the people that are in that area, their water is polluted, contaminated with all sorts of nasty chemicals that is damaging their skin, their health, their lungs.
They're under pressure from the government. The government want this to happen. They want to frack the countryside and cause incredible environmental damage, which is utterly irresponsible. Tory voters also care about the environment, and really the tide has turned on this. In the last 6 months, 80% of applications for this sort of drilling have been rejected up and down the country. The Tory council has rejected an application. So, I'm quite optimistic at the moment in the short term about fracking in the UK.
We should be seeing a lot more, solar, wind, and particularly tidal is a really exciting area.
Tidal and hydro. That's more the village in Lancashire that actually got together, put a small hydro plant in there. It doesn't do any damage to the environment.
It keeps the money in the village. People can actually invest and get the money back. And that's what, in Germany, 50% of the renewable energy is community owned. And that's definitely the way to go, to get away from the big companies.
I think the Germans are leading the way in the models that we should be following, but we're not.